Hello again, world. Continuing on the story of X's story here. So, a short recap from the previous segment was that X's boss finally responded to X uh, in regards to X's situation and concern. And as mentioned in the previous video, the summary and recap for this one is that X wrote an email, responded back to X, X's boss responded back to X about X's performance, of how boss was dissatisfied with the performance for the massive call volumes and all of the servers and systems being down for that particular day, and how X's boss went through and publicly exposed X's business of finding additional or searching for additional part-time jobs in addition to X's current full-time role at the company. So just on that note, that X's boss mentioned that the only thing that I told you was to be careful of not having the other jobs that you're seeking to interfere with your current role here. So on that note, let me step aside here and commentate on that. If I was in X's position for that, this would be how I would feel. First of all, X mentioned when he or she wrote the email to X's boss, X mentioned that X will confide in X's boss and that the issue that we discussed on a certain day. Now, with that being the case, if I was in X's position, going through here and analyzing that, first of all, if X's boss wanted to confront X on performance, that could have been a separate response, a separate email, and another email response to X, letting X know that, either this is something that I will overlook now, but in future cases I will go through and copy others on this. And two, with the fact that X went through and mentioned the issue that we discussed, X's boss could have also mentioned that in regards to that issue, all I told you was to be careful that it won't interfere with your job here at the company. X's boss did not have to go through and explicitly say that of the fact that you were finding another job in addition to your full-time job here. So if we go through and examine that, where is the professionalism, the professional etiquette, or the professional discretion, or the managerial discretion of supervisor-supervisee trust relationship there, if X's boss is out there non-discreetly exposing X's business towards other people that's none of their business. In this case, to the other representative leads for the service desk. And with that being the case, if I was X, I can tell you that X felt pretty betrayed, or at least I know I would felt pretty betrayed if the email states that X will confide in X's boss if there is something to hinder X's performance and in regards to the issue that was discussed. So the breach of trust and confinement for keeping the issue and having that exposed to you finding another job, and especially to other people that it doesn't concern, and particularly when it's not X's boss's superiors that X's bosses wrote to, copied in on, and God knows who X's boss blind copied on those emails. So X just know that at least 3 other people got copied in on the email. So on that note, to say it's none of those other people's business that X was finding or seeking another job. And with that, going back to the story here, let's just say that X, for that day, the X was feeling a bit demoralized at work when that email was sent out. And to clarify things, when X sent out the email of asking to inquire about X's position at the company, that was due to a legitimate concern and interest for wanting to be at that company and wanting to know if X was in good standing or if X somehow deterred from the good standings. And the response could have been in 2 responses. One for the response and the second for the performance issue. Now, in regards to the performance issue that the boss was displeased about, it just so happens that by the end of the day, in the email that X's boss sent out, the email had the stats for the rest of the team members. And going through the stats, it shows that X was on par with everyone else that X was compared against. So X doesn't really understand what the beef or the issue is in regards to X's performances on that day. X also was on par with the other co-worker that happens to work during the same shift as X, and X happens to be working a later shift. So with that being the case, all in all, the argument for X's performance was weak from X's point of view. And going on to 9 minutes here, guess I'll have to continue with the next segment.